Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And we should be able to pick up right where we left off. As we begin our cross-examination. Remember how I control things here? Almost the same thing.
Yes!
Yes! No, it's not the same thing at all! For a start, I didn't fire that gun! We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so? Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Have what? Attention! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears at the very next moment. I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in its most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Korakuta-san? Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was that young lad in black. That much I myself did see.
Yes!
Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time. I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it anyway. I had just finished drinking my coffee. I was about to leave the restaurant when... I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. At exactly that moment. A gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Sorry? What do you mean? In your case, you found the pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. What? Where'd you get that? Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present.
Yes!
I must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
Objection!
As you have been at pains to point out time and time again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. Only there had been more people dining there at the time, and someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. A quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know. Of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. And yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. Ooh. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hada Clinic. Yes, that would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m. Very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before. as it really had no bearing on this case. I wonder... What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted as evidence or not? Sure, let's do it.
Yes!
I love you. If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Thank you, Asogi. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. How dare they? Agency in that. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. Alright. From Hata Clinic. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korakura-san. Okay, we can't actually examine it. Can...
Yes!
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone. That I did. Forgive me for the position I place you in. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? Let's not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. As can clearly be seen, there is only a single beefsteak on the victim's table, a meal for one. That's a hell of a beefsteak. Oh. Kazuma's got brainworms, which I think of the antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman over and out.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth? What? What did you just say, cadet? I clearly remember. There's a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. For both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But I... If such a woman were indeed present at that scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of this court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Cosmo? Love how the ancient symbols for what became the modern-day badges are on the armbands. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yeah, but I don't feel like it changes much. Can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes. This is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Was that always there? Ah, it's not. It hasn't been unlocked yet. Press space and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use up, down, left, right. Rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using WASD. Oh wow. The gamer keys. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. The crosshairs start to pulsate. Press space to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Need to use up, down, left, right, WASD, and space to inspect any areas of the evidence that look suspicious. Oh, okay. Gamer keys. It says Hata Clinic on the medical report card. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I was caught the only cold I'd ever had in my life. I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. Forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have only had one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. I don't want to miss anything. Alright. Gamer keys. Medical report card required for every visit. Oh, what's this? Dentist. Not a clinic. Looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. The family doctor, I'd imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine and give you painful injections? And they demand lots of money for you for the privilege. All when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less. Which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. An achievement for that. I'm curious about this, though. Oh, hello. Gamer keys. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It seems so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Though it's hard to believe that there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note for the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. This new information. meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Now, E. Oh. That report card?
Yes!
Here we go. Well, I think, But what are you withering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? Wish I could. First and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Deep breath. Korakura-san. This is a medical report card belonging to the victim. Ah, I see. I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement. Slap. Something clearly doesn't add up.
Objection!
Dear me. Have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain it in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, come on. Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all. The simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could possibly have perpetrated the crime. Ah! First slam. Not a desk slam, Ryunosuke. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hata Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat. So what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than the water for 3 hours. Post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't. Korakura-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. What was that? No. Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Ah! Expertly done, partner. Yes, here we go. What is this nonsense? You little upstart. There's a baseless accusations. Just look. Look at the photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food on the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who, in fact, was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... Victim himself, me, two witnesses, third party. Obviously, it could only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. Ugh. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. The court decides to push through a ruling at this stage. We will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government. Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issues with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What? What are you talking about? You have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And, since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Oh. Complicit? In murder? No! Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. They say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they, told us. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh. What? What did you say, Kodakoda-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders. Now hold on, lad. I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean... You saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements. Is this true, you pair? Just one. Just one simple slip of the tongue. Ah! Order. Counsel, explain what's going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not! The prosecution knows nothing of this. Slap. And who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. Tug. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Ouchi had anything to do with it, had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. Do we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut? Of course, we need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power there. But how? How could we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? Before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. It's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated. I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please, wait. Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I do nothing. What does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency. That's what I have to say about this. My personal student number is engraved on the back here. If you lose your pin, they won't accept you as a Yume student at the university. You may not come in, they say. Da-dum-tsh. Of course, you can get a new pin made if you could just tell them your number. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. It's 106000. It's... how can you... I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere. But then I forget not to forget that. Nice job. The symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like the spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Though it does cause problems. But the students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. A sharp pin for a sharp mind or something. Okay, so I can't really... nothing with that. I don't think there's anything we can glean from this. It's just a close-up thing. This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. There's nothing to show the woman you saw there. Exactly. And that's not all. Look here in the upper left, where it says kitchen. Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. Ooh, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yeah, business cards do tend to show the person's name, that's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected, it's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Primary Criminal Investigations Division. Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. Let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here. Right? In the front it stated that Hosonaga-san is a police inspector. Alright. I think we've got our evidence now, don't we? No time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes to my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... So we gotta pick a person here. And...
Yes!
It's Hosonaga-san. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier?
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. What? Or if he truly were? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity, proven by this evidence. Oh, that's the wrong voice. Truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity, as proven by this evidence.
Yes!
Plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail. I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon. Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. You're doing your best, Ryunosuke. Somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say. Hosonaga-san sketched this plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. Front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. Waiter's profession, but that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective. I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power, as far as regular civilians are concerned. So witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you've seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Hello. Inspector Hosonaga. I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. Ah, that's why you were coughing up a storm then? Oh, well. Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, you mean to say, you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course. Your salary must be terrible. I was working undercover. I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you require these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. Bang. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? I mean to say, move the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right! The disappearing Englishwoman. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Cosmo? UA University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. There's 4 witnesses. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean... When I removed the woman from the scene of crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. And the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of UMA University's medical faculty.
What is happening here?
The truth is come out. I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of the lady's presence at the scene. I ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Oh. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem? Are you sure about that? Yeah, nothing will get in my way. Are you sure about that? You okay, bro? If you're sure, go to the drawer and briefly. Prosecution must call the English student, Giselle Brett, to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency! Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. Whew. To be continued. $11:38. Not bad. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. Oh, my heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. Waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, because I was shut in the pantry. I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Rest of Toba? Professor Mikitoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you made an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Cosma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Cosma! Well then, looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes. You need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. I think that he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? You don't want me asking, Professor? Did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. It was I who invited him. I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure that the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama.
Defendant Naruhodo, court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once.
It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before these old fossils know what's hit them. Yes! Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really? What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd have already been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. I'm found guilty in this trial. He's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. This isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. I'm down for that. Nothing like sukiyaki with the bestie. Court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Ouchi, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds.
And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. government scrutinize. That's their job. There's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we've forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. But you still think it's nothing to worry about if the due treaty breaks down on our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. The friendship between our nations is really so fragile that the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is it the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up! Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing. Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder, too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Oh. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. A visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Yes. Oh, Your Excellency! Oh god. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea, someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No, I had no idea. So, ahem. Could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at La Carnival. By true. Yes, we know about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. Don't judge me, bro. So, dear lady, once again, if I may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but... What? The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. Comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in UA University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you just said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell. The detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Cosmo. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says, yes. Ah, yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? God, his smarmy great. That smarmy expression, pandering expression is great. Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, would it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear that the lady did witness the crime. At the very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Order in court. Ever in your yet? Yes, we do. Those curls are deadly. My God. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the courtings the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you witnessed. A frightening and sorrowful sight, simple enough. Well, this is going to be interesting. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not too long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit.
Yes!
This is the condemning testimony indeed. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection!
Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. Oh, but he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the 2 witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last 2 witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could have concealed a firearm. Plenty of space on that.
Goddamn. Plenty of space on that damn hat.
I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter.
Ugh, that's ridiculous.
If I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There's been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. To do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. She reacted to that. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. That's what we want to take away from this, don't we? She reacted to Cosmo's comment there. Oh yes, Your Excellency. Okay, so her English statement doesn't actually get entered into the testimony. I don't remember exactly how it was in the original Japanese, but I feel like we might have actually had her words written out in full English in the original Japanese. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yes!
After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it?
Objection!
You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are en vogue. Is that right? No. Decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. It was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. On the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, but you can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch the following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense.
Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is.
So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself a beef steak.
Yes!
He was unable to eat, you say? That was because he just had a tooth removed at the Hada clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was due to have some medical treatment. Dental treatment. So that would mean... It was you who ate this steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant land on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right. Other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes. The professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke? About the witness's last statement? Of course it's meaningful. Slap. That statement of yours, Miss Brent, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing? Oh. The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well, sidestep, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Cosma. I'm gonna remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I love his judgmental stare.
Yes!
So both you and the professor drank this carbonated water, did you? It might be that there's only one glass for the carbonated water. Yes. Being the waiter, I poured the 2 glasses myself. I clearly remember doing so. Except you're actually a detective. And the beefsteak. That was for you, Miss Brett. The lady says that she'd heard it was not customary to eat beef here until Japan opened its doors to the world. Yes, that's true. What a frightful place, is the lady's opinion. I've heard it's not customary to eat sashimi in Great Britain. Now that's frightful. Every country has its own cuisine. As long as people have food to eat, what does it matter what it is? True. Come to think of it. The first time I tried carbonated water, it was much more of a shock than the first time I tried beef. Anyway, back to this witness's statement. Somehow I feel like there's something out of place in what she's saying. We need to pounce on even the slightest thing now, because you never know what might lead us to our goal. Our goal of turning this trial around. Understood, Cosma.
Yes!
I never got into an argument with the professor. All I did when I noticed him was go over to say hello. Please, don't get angry with me. No, I wasn't directing that retort at you. It was meant for the lady next to you. Anyway, as I said, I did not argue with the professor. I'm afraid your words are in vain. Sorry? Miss Brett does not appear to speak Japanese. No, of course not. Japanese is such a cumbersome language anyways. English is the future. We must all speak English. I wonder if the prosecution will feel that way forever. Only in the presence of a beautiful woman, huh? What that beautiful woman is telling blatant lies with a completely straight face. I have to find something that will unravel her testimony, no matter how seemingly insignificant it may be. Anyway, it seems that after the argument, the accused briefly returned to his own seat. That part ties in with what you said, doesn't it? Yes. I still had some coffee to drink. And the next time you got up after that was when I'd finished my coffee and stood up to leave. That looks real sus.
Yes!
Like I said, I did not shoot that gun. Like I said, there's no point repeating that assertion over and over. I wasn't expecting to be attacked by my own side. Nevertheless, defendant, you can't deny. When the shot rang out in the restaurant, you had a gun in your hand. Well, yes, that's true, but... Slap. I just picked the gun and I saw on the floor next to the professor as I was leaving the restaurant. In fact, yes. There was someone much closer to the victim than me at the time. A highly suspicious lady in... That will do, you dirty, rotten scoundrel. Dirty. Racist accusations could very well cause an international incident, boy. It seems to me that your accusation is just as baseless as ours. What nonsense. The lady's merely stating what she saw. And this is already an international incident as far as I'm concerned, anyways.
Yes!
It's all very well saying that, but can you prove it? Absolutely. I verified it personally. You verified it? Yes, immediately after the incident, I checked to make sure the lady was not carrying a weapon. I distinctly remember her saying, "I'm not." That's all you did? You just asked her? Surely you carried out a physical search, Inspector. No. You fool. Why on earth not? The honorable English gentlewoman clearly stated that she did not possess a weapon. There was obviously no need for any further probing into the matter. Or there was no permission given for any further probing into the matter, perhaps. Think what you will. If you're going to continue with this preposterous claim that the refined lady was concealing a firearm, prosecution demands that you support your assertion with facts and logic. In other words, he wants evidence. The lady wishes to point out that, of course, she wanted to stay and assist with the investigation. But she was in a hurry to give a presentation at the university, so she was compelled to leave. Not to mention the fact that your office had told you to get the woman out of there. Not get her out of there. I just urged her to leave. The lady would like to point out that she had no way meant to run away from the scene of the crime. Which is why she is only too happy to cooperate and testify here in court today, of course. Unlike a certain student who refuses to admit when the game is up. Could at least have the courtesy to pay attention when I'm goading you. Sorry, Ouchie, no such luck. She's maintaining that you got into an argument with the professor, at the end of which you shot her. Which is an out-and-out, totally unfounded lie. Still, her statement is very compelling. After all, she's an elegant, refined, young, and beautiful gentlewoman from Great Britain. In stark contrast to you, dressed from head to toe in a dull black school uniform. Just exactly the same way as you are, except for the flapping red ribbons. Well, anyway, this is our only chance to expose her testimony as the fiction that it is. If we can't do that, the trial's over. Even you with your thick skin must be able to feel the murderous looks you're getting from around the room. Only too well. I feel half dead already. And the fact that I can't see a single inconsistency in her testimony is what isn't making me feel any better either. First thing to do is press her on any of her statements that seem even slightly off to you. Do that and an opening will present itself. I promise you. You expose the true face of this exotic foreigner that's hiding behind the mask. That's what I should be aiming for in this cross-examination. E. Yeah, this is it.
Yes!
Ah, that's it! What's it? The answer's obvious, but we will find out next time. The Adventure of the Great Departure. Until then.